Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. I am going to be reacting to my most used makeup video of 2021 and discussing if those products have stayed the same or if there have been replacements. Now, I did not do a mid-year speed review makeup video this year. If I were to make a video now speed reviewing everything I was supposed to, it would be like 2 hours long. So I'm gonna do a speed review. It'll have to be broken into multiple parts and I need to remember to do them quarterly. At the very least, I wanted to see what did I use last year and am I still using it or have I found something new? So I went back and watched that video, went back to my notes, and I took notes on what I'm using. So I'm going to start off with primer. So I'm just going to go in the order of how I do my makeup. Again, we are excluding eyeshadow palettes from this. I am an eyeshadow palette collector, eyeshadow palette lover, eyeshadow palette connoisseur, and probably also an eyeshadow palette hoarder. So generally speaking, you know, I don't receive PR, so I don't buy eyeshadow palettes I don't think I'll like. So it's very uncommon for me to be disappointed by a palette. So I'm going to start off with my primer. So first off, I said Pat McGrath primer is what I used a lot last year. That is still the same for this year, but again, it is mostly a summer primer for me. So right now it is in the dead of winter climate crisis. It's really not that cold, but it still gets really dry. So I'm not using that right now. JACLYN under eye primer, I am still using it. However, I have noticed after being on my second tube, it goes off really quickly, like way quicker than it says on the tube. It goes off really quickly. So I recently picked up the Bobbi Brown Hydrating Eye Cream, which is a smidgen better. It's just more expensive. And I think after that one goes off, I'm going to switch to using this, and I'm probably not going to rebuy that because this is definitely not going to go off as quickly. Next, I said the Dominique Cosmetics and JD Wadey Ultra Hydrating Primer. Yes, I still am, and yes, I still have one more unopened backup, and I'm almost through my second tube, so yeah. I am very bummed that it is the end of 2022 and I still do not have a suitable replacement that dupes that formula. I don't care how much I'd have to pay, I need to find something that is a formula dupe for that, and I have not yet. Brands have not released a primer that is anywhere near close. The only one, and I am so sorry, I just realized I'm not holding up any of these. I'm dumb. So here's the Dominique primer. Here's my second tube. And the only thing I found that is even somewhat marginally close is going to be the MAC Studio Radiance primer, but it's not as hydrating. It's a lot more blurring than this one. This one is only slightly blurring, but it's not as hydrating. It does kind of set down and then it feels just like it dries down versus this one staying really watery, serumy, and hydrating. So this is still not the same, but it's the closest I found. So I do really like this, and this is a very close honorable mention, but I am still waiting for a brand to release something that is literally just like this. And I don't care which price bracket it comes from. If I have to pay $95 to get a primer like this, I will, because I love this formula that much. Although if anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. And then next I wrote honorable mention is going to be the REPHR moisturizer. I still do use this a lot, but as you can tell, it's a giant tube. So I mean, like, how much use does it look like it has? This is really nice. It is kind of, again, kind of similar to the Dominique Cosmetics one, but it's not blurring. It's just a hydrating moisturizer. So I do put this on before primer, especially if I'm filming at the end of the evening, if I'm filming at night during the winter, I will put this on before all of my primers, just as some light kind of skincare prep. Next, I wrote for foundation. I wrote the Estee Lauder Futures Aqua Brilliance Foundation. Now, we are hitting the point in time where I have had foundations for a while. I had to go through my foundations, and some of them have changed formulas. They haven't necessarily expired, but they are oxidizing really quickly now and no longer match my skin tone. So I literally can't use them anymore, so I did declutter them. Some of them had actually gone off, so I did actually have to throw them away. Estee Lauder Futures Aqua Brilliance is no longer in my collection due to age, and I likely won't be rebuying it just because it was really expensive to get and it's not available in the US. It's a really huge hassle for me to get because I have to get it off Selfridges, and I just didn't want to go through that again. HOURGLASS Glow Lasting Foundation also, I think, went off a little bit because it started changing color on me. Like, it turned super orange and I don't remember it being that orange. Either that or my tan on my face has just faded that much, because back when I got it I was a little more tan than I am now, so it didn't match me anyway. So that has also been passed along. I got some pretty significant use out of both of those though. I went through like about a third of both of the bottles, so to me I felt like I got my money's worth and I really enjoyed having them. Luminous Silk I have not used as much this year, and I still just have that mini. It's somehow still not expired, so I don't know what magic potion Armani puts in their foundations, but it seems to literally be immortal. And you know what? That's fine by me, because even the mini was $42. The KVD Balm I said last year, no, I don't use it anymore. Honestly, I feel like I kind of was like hyping myself up and deceiving myself a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Hourglass. Yes, this is my daily foundation I use for when I'm not filming. It's also the only foundation I bring when I travel because it's not liquid, so it's not going to explode, it's not going to leak, and I'm not going to get in trouble with TSA. I do wish it matched me better. Hourglass's stick foundation range is absolute bollocks. Like, not only is the shade range stupid and the number of shades stupid, but even on the lighter end, it's like cool, 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 and then finally warm, and then it's too dark for me. So it's a little bit too tan for me, but I literally would look ashy otherwise. So I do wish that they would make more shades because I feel like it's such a popular product. I really kind of wanted to try the Huda Beauty stick foundation for this reason because I feel like I find a better match there, but I don't know. The Hourglass one is just so perfect for dry skin. I'm hesitant to try the Huda Beauty one. Maybe like, I don't know, I should have gotten it during Black Friday now that I think about it, whatever. So yes, the Hourglass stick foundation is a mainstay in my collection. It's not going anywhere fast. I just wish they would make more shades. What have I been using the most this year? If you look in the description boxes of any of my Get Ready With Me's, I don't think this should come as a surprise, but I am totally riding the Givenchy Prisme Libre train, and I'm gonna ride it until the sunset. My only regret is that I got both in the wrong shade. I'm an idiot. I'm a complete and total clown. So I got the Luminous one off of Makeup Exchange, so I paid like $20 for it, so I was willing to take a wrong shade for the lower price. But then when I went to Sephora to get the matte version for 20% off, I was just going by what this one was without even thinking, and then I completely blew past the return and exchange period, so I never got it exchanged for $95. So I have both of these in $80. Whenever I put these on, I look like a ghost, but that is what contour is for. So I just have to contour. So you will notice in my Get Ready With Me's, whenever I use this, it is literally too light for me. God gave us contour so that we could match our necks again. The formula of these both is simply amazing, and I do really love the coverage on these. If I'm gonna wear foundation, I want coverage. So I really appreciate the coverage that these both have. It's like a medium, high medium coverage, and the matte one is not that drying, and the Skincare and Glow one is absolutely beautiful, and it blends out so smoothly and so quickly. So I have definitely been using these the most out of all of the foundations in my collection. At this point, these are the two foundations I use 9 times out of 10. The only foundation still on my wish list that I think I will probably pick up early next year, maybe come spring, is the reformulated Power Fabric. And then an honorable mention, I picked this up really close to the end of this year. I think it was in like November or October that I picked this up, so I've not been using it for very long, but the Very Valentino foundation is absolutely beautiful, and it matches my skin tone way better than the Givenchy one does. I think this is kind of like a midpoint. It's right between those two with similarly medium to medium high coverage. It's a natural finish, so it's not as glowy as the Prisme Libre Skincare and Glow, and it's not as matte as the matte. The only thing about this is I do have to use a blurring primer underneath, otherwise I feel like it doesn't blur my skin as well as the Givenchy ones do. Next, concealer. I wrote down the JX Professional Triple Concealer, and that's not changed. I still use it. I am kind of looking for new options. I'm always just looking for like another concealer that's a little easier to obtain because that one kind of goes in and out of stock on Beauty Box Korea, but all the ones I've tried so far have just been okay. So, and then I did say honorable mention Tainty Dull Concealer. I actually ended up decluttering it. I've come to realize I do not use medium coverage concealers. I find them to be pointless. However, I will say an honorable mention for me this year, if I'm not wearing foundation and I am just going out, I'm not filming, I just am lazy, then I use the Luna Lasting Tip Concealer, and I have it in the shade 0.7. This is a really great, no foundation, look slightly perfected, super lazy product. I blend this out with my fingers, and it just does everything. Brightens up the center of my face, makes my pores vanish, covers up my under eyes sufficiently, and I feel like it just makes me look a little bit more awake. So if I'm like not filming and I just want a little bit of makeup, particularly this is the concealer I like to bring when I'm traveling, so because it kind of just does a little bit of everything. Setting spray, because I often put on setting spray before powder so that my face is not super dry, but I also use setting spray throughout my makeup routine, so I just use setting spray whenever I feel like it. So the first one I said was the D'Alba setting spray. I do think this is finally actually gone. Like, I kept hearing winds of it being discontinued, and I do believe it's pretty much gone now. That's a real shame. I am well into my second bottle, and I have a third backup, and then after that I will no longer be able to use this. I have found other things that I do like though, so keep watching. I'll go over it, but this is obviously one of my most used setting sprays. I use this all the time. I am gonna sorely miss it once it's gone. I do hope they bring something similar back. There's just something super special about this where it feels like it really fuses skincare and moisturizer and hydration with makeup setting, and I just feel like that's something that's so rare. Now, as for the other thing that I found this year, it's going to be the new thing that I've been using a lot this year, and this is going to be what's going to be a lot easier for people to obtain. It's definitely going to have to be the POREfessional setting spray, and not only does it set my makeup and make it last a while, but it does actually, I feel like it blurs out my pores and it makes my face look really smooth. It's like an Instagram filter in real life for my face. It's ridiculous. The only thing is that it just doesn't feel as hydrating and soothing as the D'Alba one does, so whenever I use this, I just find myself missing that aspect of the D'Alba setting spray, but it is so good otherwise. The other thing I really like about both of these setting sprays is that the mist is so fine. The morning dew just kind of blows and breezes past your face super softly. It just feels so light, and it's so just relaxing to feel it hit your face. I love it so much for that. And then I will say a quick honorable mention. Again, I just discovered this like a month ago, so I'm not going to say I've been using this the most because I've only had it for a month, but I have really appreciated just how long my makeup lasts when I use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush spray. This is a mini. I got the $29 duo during the Sephora sale because the full size has been gone for who knows how long now. But my only qualm with this, and I don't know, again, I've never tried the full-size version, so please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. This could be just a mini packaging problem, but the sprayer on this is aggressive as hell, so I feel like I'm shooting a water gun at my face whenever I use this. And then next, powder. Got some good ones. So the first one I wrote that I used the most last year was the Nikia Joy setting powder. I haven't used it as much because I feel like I've discovered other options that mattify kind of similarly but are even less drying than the Nikia Joy one, which I know is such a hard bar to clear, but like powders have gotten good lately. And then the next one I said was the JACLYN Mood Light powder. I currently really prefer the new sheer loose powder that was done in her collab with her mom. So here's the Mood Light powder. I do have the old packaging. I don't plan on getting the new packaging unless I were to somehow run out of this because it would be such a waste otherwise. And then here is the loose powder with her mom. This is amazing. It's not as glowy as this. It's slightly more mattifying, really blurring, and it does not dry your skin out at all whatsoever. Something about this powder is absolutely magical. One of the best powders I discovered this year, period, and there were some amazing contenders. So I have used that one a lot more than this one ever since that came out. And then the next one that I used the most last year is going to be the Kogendo Brightening Moisture Powder, specifically in beige. I hated the one in pink. That was so disappointing. As you can see, I have continued to use it. It's hard to tell in the camera, but there is actually a really big dent in the middle. So I have been very liberally using this. I still absolutely love it. And this is also one of my traveling powders that I'll pick from because it is just so easy to bring and it's so beautiful. So between this and my Bobbi Brown powder, those are the powders I tend to travel with. And then the next ones are going to be kind of new ones where I've like honorable mentions or other things I've used a lot. I honestly have had such a great year with powders this year. I would say out of all the makeup categories that I was using this year, powders are going to be the one where I've made the most amazing discoveries. So the first one I'm going to have to talk about are the powders from Flower Nose. I got 2 powders from Flower Nose and I still really want to pick up the unicorn one, mostly for the packaging. I want it. I found their AliExpress store, which still has it in stock, so I just need to get it soon, but I have 2 powders. The first one is the Flower Goddess powder. I have it in the dry skin version. They had 2, one for oily skin, one for dry skin. One of the best blurring mattifying powders on the market, and because I got it for dry skin, literally doesn't dry my skin out at all, leaves my skin baby smooth, marshmallow skin in a compact. The only downside, of course, is that when your skin is that mattified, other pigments like blush and highlighter are not going to stick to it as well. So once you put down this powder, do expect all your other complexion products to be a little bit more on the soft side, or you know, you'll want to just put the blush down first and then use this afterwards. This is one of my favorite under eye powders. I'll take a tiny little brush and just stamp it under my eyes. It makes my under eyes look beautiful. Honestly, I need to use this more often. And then the other powder I discovered from Flower Nose is going to be the Circus powder. It is a loose powder, a cute little puff. This is basically a loose version of the Flower Goddess one, except I think the one that I got is in like, it's in the transparent color, so it's not as brightening as that one, which says it's transparent, but it does have a white cast. This one is a little bit more kind of beigey, so it's less brightening on me. Again, blurring, mattifying, marshmallow skin, perfecting. Your skin will not even be sticky, like nothing will transfer to your mask kind of a situation. So finely milled, it's not even funny. Really great powder. I think this is one of the biggest reasons I don't use the Nikia Joy powder as much, is really just because I have this one now. Next, I'm gonna say the, pun unintended, the Say powder. This is gonna be the Air Set powder. This is kind of like, I've been using this more than the JACLYN Mood Light powder because it's a little bit more subtle. The Mood Light powder can become like a low grade highlighter if you use it, especially in the inner parts of your face. It can kind of become very visibly glowy. This has that radiant, natural, fresh, healthy effect on your skin without looking too glowy or looking too metallic. It's kind of like a refined, more subtle version of the JACLYN one, and I've been using this one more often than that one because of it now that I've discovered it. Now, I have said before, I'm not a really big supporter of clean beauty. I don't believe in clean beauty. I think clean beauty is quite foolish, honestly, but admittedly, I think most clean beauty powder products are okay, and I've had this one for almost a year now, I think, and like maybe like what, 8-9 months, and it's still going strong, still working just fine. So I have high hopes for this powder. I have heard also like Kosas, for example, everything from Kosas goes bad really quickly except for their powders. So I have high hopes for this. I am not going to be getting anything else from Saie really because I don't trust how long those products are going to last, but this powder is really good. I do really like it, and if you're going to get it, you're not going to be disappointed. The only thing is that once it hits like the super humid parts of summer, I can't actually use this because it doesn't really set your makeup. It's almost like a finishing powder. It almost starts crossing into that territory where it's not less set, more finish. So for dry skin, that's a really big godsend, but in the most humid parts of summer, I do have to go for something a little more heavy duty. So this is a really perfect spring, fall, winter powder for me, and in the summer, I can use this as a finishing powder. So really pretty, great, fantastic discovery. Moving on to contour and bronzer. My contour and bronzer collection is very tiny. I'm super particular with the undertones of what I have. So what I put that I used a lot last year was West Montilier and Biscuit. I haven't used it as much this year because I discovered a couple other things I really like, but I still do have it and I still do use it. It has an 18-month shelf life and I have not had it for 18 months yet, so we're still holding on to it. I still do have it, I still use it. Then I put, last year I used Nabla a lot. I don't use it as much anymore. I have discovered some other options that are a lot less maintenance for still giving me a good thing. So the reason I really used the Nabla one, in particular the shade of Soft Revenge. So as you can see, it looks too dark, but with the right brush, the undertone was so perfect that if I sheared it out, it looked like the perfect bronzer contour. However, I have since then discovered a lot of lower maintenance bronzers and contours that don't require that kind of finesse. So I haven't used this one as much as I used to. I'm still holding on to it, but I don't know how much longer it'll stick around. Maybe in like the next 6 months I may part ways with it, but for the time being I still hold on to it. I still use it sometimes, but I just don't need this anymore because there are finally bronzers in existence that fit the void I was looking for. So the first one that I'm going to put down is definitely going to be the one I've used the most towards the tail end of this year. I'm very glad I got this, and it is going to be the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream. Now this is a very dry cream, definitely has a nice matte finish and sets down, so I can use this over or under powder, and I use a brush and I just kind of apply like I do a powder. It's so easy to use, and when they first released it as a limited edition bronzer, it was in the shade Laguna Orange City. No thank you. So I skipped over it, but then they re-released it as a permanent thing, and they released it with more shades, and among them was Laguna 01. Hello. And it's so easy to use. It's that perfect matte, not so creamy cream that is my favorite kind of cream formula. It's a ludicrous amount of product you get in here. Literally, I don't see how anyone could ever run through the whole thing, but I absolutely love it. No regrets. And then as for bronzers, so this is definitely not a contour at all. As for straight up bronzers, I don't have many at all because I don't like looking so orange and warm on the side of my face, and I honestly don't really know how to use bronzers, and I especially don't know how people do bronzer and contour at the same time. Like for me, it's always one or the other. So I have a really warm eye look, and so I need some extra warmth on the perimeters of my face, or else just kind of a tonal mismatch because I do have some spots on my face that are a little bit more on the cool side. So I use a bronzer, and the one that I've discovered is going to have to be the JACLYN Cosmetics one in Birthday Suit. This is so light that it just warms up my skin. It just changes the undertones of my skin to warm. And it's so light that if I do over apply, it's not gonna mess me up. Barely shows up, which means for me, I cannot mess this up. So I love how difficult it is for me to screw this up with a shade this light. And then the other product I discovered that I also really like, that's if I want like a glowier, bronzy, contoury look, is gonna be Hoola Glow. Now the original Hoola is so orange and red, I hate it. This Hoola Glow is a lot more neutral. They're not the same shade. They're the same name, Hoola and Hoola Glow, but this is totally different shade from Hoola, and I love it. And it's glowy in such a beautiful way. There's no glitters, there's no sparkles, there's no metallic, there's just beautiful sheen. And I tried this mostly on a whim. I just tossed it into my Sephora cart kind of impulsively during a sale. I love it. It's really good. So I do use this a lot as well. I didn't end up using the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand as much as I thought I would after I got the Laguna NARS one, because the NARS one is just so much easier and convenient for me to use. So after I run out of contour wand, I'm probably not going to rebuy. It's just so difficult to get a hold of as it is, and the applicator gets kind of nasty, and yeah. So I did use that one a ton up until I got the NARS one, and then that kind of fell off a cliff, so that's why I'm not talking about it. But yeah, that is still really, really good, and if the NARS one never existed, I'd still be using it. But the NARS one is like super, super good, you guys. Last year I wrote down Cheek Pops. That has not changed. I still love my Cheek Pops collection. I still use my Cheek Pops collection, and my Cheek Pops collection has grown, and I am very happy with that. And then I specifically said the Face Shop Blush in Ginger Beige. I actually did not use that one much at all this year. I only used it maybe a handful of times compared to last year, because I actually prefer to use the shade California Love from Too Faced instead. So if I have need for a beigeier blush, I actually really like how this has a slight glow to it. I feel like it looks better as a beige blush on me than the other one did. So I use this one a lot more often. And then the other thing I wrote new is the PeriPera blushes, which again, I have almost every single shade. I absolutely love them. I love having every single shade in my collection. These are super mattifying blushes, and I especially really like the lighter shades because I use them to blend out my other blush shades and to brighten up the center of my face. And the other thing I said that's new is going to be these DIOR blushes that totally went super viral and have been going really strong with popularity ever since. And I did finally procure the pink shade this year, and I've had the coral shade for quite some time. And I have gotten a healthy amount of usage out of both, so I'm still going to say that these can still stay on my list. I really like both. I definitely have been using the pink more often this year because I have been on a bit of a cool tone kick, but these are both absolutely beautiful. They remind me of the pastel Korean blushes, but with a little bit more saturation. And that's gonna be it for blushes. Next, I'm gonna say face palettes. I honestly did not use face palettes like at all this year. It's like I forgot I had them, and the reason was because of the way I'm storing my makeup. If I don't see it and if I can't reach for it, it's not there. And I cannot ever seem to find a good home for my face palettes, and so they end up being really far away. I have to like stand up to reach them, or I have to make sure I remember to grab them before I sit down, and I just never ever use them. So I criminally underused my face palettes this year, and I'm really trying to get better storage solutions that will allow me to make more use out of them next year. Now, in compensation, I bought way fewer face palettes this year than I did in 2021, specifically because of the fact that I was using them so little. I just couldn't justify getting more. So at the very least, I was self-conscious enough for that. So face palettes, last year I said I used Nudegasm a lot. I hardly used it this year. And that really disappoints me because I really love the contour shade in there, and I used it so much last year and I hardly used it this year. So I am definitely need to remember to use Nudegasm more next year. And it is for that reason I did not get any of the blush quads from Charlotte Tilbury this year. I skipped those because of how little I used Nudegasm this year. Next, I said the Lunar Beauty is the one I traveled with, is what I said. That is true. Whenever I travel, I do bring the Lunar Beauty one because then I don't have to bring eyeshadows or single blushes or contours. I can just bring that and have eyeshadow, blush, and eyeshadow, bronzer, and contour all in the same palette. So I don't use Outer Dimensions much here, but whenever I have to go out of town, that is the palette I bring with me. It is bulky, but I'm already bringing a backpack for my electronics anyways. I just slip it right into the same place as the laptop sleeve. Like I literally just slip it right in there and then I just carry it with me. So it's really not that big of a deal. Highlighter, last year I said I used my Becca highlighters the most, rest in peace. I have honestly discovered a lot of really fun new highlighters this year, and I haven't used the Becca ones as much as I thought I would. You know, I think that's a good thing that we discover new things we like. I don't think I'm going to part with my Becca collection anytime soon because it does hold a lot of nostalgia to me, and I do really love the collection even if I don't use it as much anymore. So the other thing I wrote last year was the Clio highlighter in Gold Sheer. My usage of that dropped significantly this year, and it has officially been replaced with my most used highlighter of this year, which is Revelation from Flower Nose. I don't actually know if you can even get this anymore, not on their global website anyways. You may still be able to find it on like their Taobao or AliExpress websites or on maybe like Alpha Beauty or something like that. But yeah, this is definitely my newest absolute favorite highlighter in my collection, honestly. It is so beautiful. It is the perfect balance between having a significant amount of pigment while also being translucent like glass. Absolutely beautiful, and I love that I can use this on my nose and chin without any cast, and it's what really is the first product I tried from Flower Nose, and it's what really got me onto their brand. I just can't think of a better highlighter for me right now. And then I wrote the Dior Quad. Yes, I still use this a lot. However, after I got back from my vacation, I haven't used it much since, because when my sister dropped it, one or two of the shades now will slide out of the pan unless I store it horizontally, so I haven't used it much. It's so fragile. I do kind of have to baby it a lot more now because it is broken. I couldn't even hold it up. One of the shades would just slide right out because it kind of broke it, like the shade broke in half horizontally, so it's not like I can just stick it back in the pan, because there is still some product still in the pan, but then the top half of the entire product is what slides out. So I have to hold it horizontal forever. And then I wrote the JACLYN Quad that I got, which is going to be right here. I hardly use this year, again, just because I hardly use my face palettes. I need to make them easier to reach because I absolutely love this quad, and I definitely want to make sure I remember to use this more often. This is absolutely not similar to the Dior Quad at all. This is more smooth and metallic. The Dior Quad had a little more sparkle to it, so hopefully I can figure out a way to store my face palettes. What highlighters did I use a lot this year? So the first one that I wrote down was the new Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk highlighter. Absolutely a yes, and I did bring this traveling with me because I really love how I could basically have a little highlighter quad inside of a highlighter. As you can see, there's 4 shades for me to choose from, so I can mix and match, or I can just use one or the other. And then the other thing I said was the Pat McGrath Bridgerton highlighter, again, that I used a lot this year. This is absolutely beautiful. This is the most similar to the pale gold shade in Dior, which is coincidentally the one that broke, so I've been using this a lot, especially ever since that broke. And it also has a really pretty pan embossing. Absolutely love this one. And then for colorful highlighters, I have to give it to the Odin's Eye Salmon highlighter in Lavender Dream. Anytime I've done a purple or blue eye look, this has been a highlighter I use. I also love using this on my eyes. This transforms anything you put on your eyes. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that I completely missed the Black Friday sale, I would have picked up all the rest of the highlighters in this formula for 40% off and just had a bunch of giant single eyeshadows. Because not only are these really beautiful highlighters, but they're gorgeous as eyeshadows. One last thing I have to share with you guys, and that is going to be the Teresa is Dead Moon Rocks. Really pretty green highlighter. Gorgeous, and I do really want to try more of Lethal Cosmetics before of this. I did use this a lot. Anytime I had a green or gold look, I would use this after I got it. Next, I'm going to move on to eye primer. Makeup Revolution Prime and Lock. Sometimes, because what I use now instead is the Rare Beauty primer 9 times out of 10, and then the other thing I wrote was NARS Smudge Proof. Again, sometimes, particularly during the summer, but both of those got more or less ejected by Rare Beauty when I got my hands on it. That's just what I've been using ever since. For eyebrow, I said I used Brow Blade a lot. I don't use it anymore. Finding one where both the pencil and the pen would work also just seemed to be impossible. Like, they would always make it so like the pen's too dark, but then the pencil would work and then the pen's too light. Like, I couldn't deal with it anymore, so I went back to using my Glossier Brow Flick and a separate product because I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then next we're gonna move straight on to mascara. I used to use the Peripera Ink Black Cara, but I switched over to the Holika Define Volume after seeing Minsco praise it because I literally trust and will buy anything Minsco says is good. And so far, I will have to be honest, she's one of the few influencers who has never, ever steered me wrong. So when she said this is what she uses for her monolids, for her straight lashes, I tried it. It is very volumizing. I do really like it. I have it in the cute little Among Us packaging, so this is my most used mascara. This is probably gonna dry out soon. I will just rebuy it. I absolutely love this thing. It's great. I love it. Perfect. And it's cute. It's really cute. And then I also said if I have a lash lift, I used Lash Idol last year. I didn't use Lash Idol for a while this year because I didn't have a lash lift for the majority of this year because I was busy getting my surgery, and then by the time I was ready to get one, the appointments are all fully booked, so like it took me a while to get in, so I've only had a lash lift. So I'm back on my Lash Idol train as of today. But for the majority of this year, I was just using literally whatever I had in my mini stash that came from like my Sephora birthday gift or mascara voucher or whatever. So, but I'm very happy to be back to Lash Idol. As for eyeliner, I said my FLOWFLUSHI brown eyeliner. It is still going. I have no idea. I literally wrote that down in my notes. It is still going and I have no idea how. It is right here. I still do use it. it is still going. It does sometimes kind of bleed and explode a little bit, so I have to kind of touch it against the paper towel to blot out all that extra ink. It's still going. I miss FLOWFLUSHI. And then I said So Sharp, So Simple. Mine have since dried out. They also have been discontinued by Clio and replaced with the new Extreme Gel Presso liners, which I have 2 shades of. Now, funnily enough, that range, they had 6 shades and none of them were black, which I thought was really interesting. So I have 2 of the darker shades, one dark brown, one dark gray. I do love this formula. It's really, really nice, and it does last really well in the waterline too, and you can even blend it and smudge it a little bit if you're quick. Really great solid formula from Clio. Definitely a step up over their So Sharp, So Simple. I also love that they have square packaging. If it's ever sitting on my desk, it doesn't like roll away. It's just a nice little touch, you know? Perversion liquid liner from Urban Decay. Yes, mine is actually still going strong too. It has lasted forever and a half. Solid brush, really, really precise. Great brush tip liner, one of my favorites, definitely one that I will happily recommend to people and continue to recommend. It's so good. It lasts forever. It can sometimes be a little tricky to take off, but literally it's bulletproof. And then the other thing that I've been really liking is going to be the Benefit Extreme Precision Liner. I use this brown shade to do my inner corners. Just amazing. I also love to use this to draw fake lashes because most brown liners on the market in America are like a blackened brown. So honestly, I use this mostly just to line my inner corners. I love it for that. It's just perfect. So I use this all the time. False lashes. Last year I wrote doe lashes. That has not changed. I still love doe lashes. I also do really like the specific plant fiber ones from Velour and then the Love and Light ones from House of Lashes, but I don't know if those are still available. If they are, I do really like them though. But yes, 9 times out of 10 I'm using something from Doe. Their Lashes 2.0 are honestly even more comfortable, so I do think it's an improvement. So yeah, I can still wholeheartedly recommend them. And then for my lips, so I have multiple categories of lips here done by finish and formula because I do love me a diverse range of lips. So first I'm going to start with my liquid matte. So the first one I said last year was Roman Blur Fudge, which has usurped Zero Velvet. Yes, this is still true. I still really like them, but a new discovery is going to be my very, very complete Powder Kiss liquid lipstick collection from MAC. I absolutely love these, and I do love that they come in a range of colors that Roman does not have. I honestly I do kind of sort of get really excited about trends, so I definitely was more of a gloss girl this year. But yeah, those are my liquid mattes. So liquid gloss tints. Roman Dewy Full is what I wrote last year. Yes, this is still very true. Roman Dewy Full is literally the best thing ever. I love it so much. I have pretty much every single color from them except for their most recent releases, which I do need to get off YesStyle. I just keep forgetting. And then another thing I wrote down was the YSL water stains. Yes, and it is a crime that these are discontinued because these are amazing. I have a lot of shades and I love these. I will literally not get rid of them until they expire. And now sheer glosses and oils. This is where things change because I hardly used them like last year, like barely last year, and especially in 2019, 2020, like never. I thought they were pointless. But this year I totally have been really excited. So last year I said I used the DIOR Lip Glow Oils a lot. I still do. Mostly I don't really use them when I'm filming as much. I use them as like an everyday lip product when I'm not filming or just to keep my lips hydrated. So the reason you don't see me use them on camera is because they're not really a product I use for like a full beat, but I do really like to use them on the day-to-day. But then a new one I discovered is going to be the JACLYN lip oils. I have almost every single shade except for the super nudie ones. They are super nice. They're a little bit more pigmented than most of the Dior ones, and so I do sometimes use these when I'm filming, but I also like to use these if I'm just going out to run errands. Especially the red one gives that candy lip color that I'm like obsessed with chasing down. I'm always looking for the next cherry red kind of popsicle color. And then I said specifically the Lunar Beauty Holiday Lip Oil. I love this. I did not get his lip oils that came with Nude Prism because they were just, I was like, they look so sheer. And then he specifically said for the holiday, he released a shade with more pigment. This is beautiful. This is absolutely perfect and I love it. I'm not wearing it on my face right now. I have something completely unrelated because my filming backlog is so bad. So I'm sorry that these are not on my face, but I absolutely love this product here and I can wholeheartedly recommend this. And now we're going to move on to matte lipsticks. Now I don't use matte lipsticks very often because I do prefer liquid Korean matte products, but my biggest discovery of the year is definitely going to be these YSL Slim Radical lipsticks. I have multiple shades of them at this point. I love these. They're not ultra matte, but they're really, really pretty still. I absolutely love these and I love how these come in such intense shades. Definitely a lot of like reds, brick reds, orange reds, which from YSL doesn't surprise me, but I love those kinds of shades. So I do have a lot of these, mostly gotten like buy one get one or half off or something like that because I'm cheap. Next we're going to do cream lipstick. So last year I said Specifically, it's going to be the new the Shu Yumura Hello Kitty lipstick. Yes, this is my go-to daily shade, especially if I'm doing family gatherings, like for holidays. This is going to be the shade I wear. I had to go to like some family, like a family funeral or something, or a family wedding. This is the shade that I go for. It's just such an easy, beautiful shade. I love this so much, and of course I love the cute little packaging. We're going to move on to tinted lip balms, which has been my end of year obsession, and I don't use that word lightly. I'm literally obsessed with tinted balms. I have way too many now. So the first one I said that I used a lot last year was the ColourPop Hello Kitty balms. I do not actually use these as much as I used to because I've discovered so many other ones I like since then, but these were kind of the OGs that started it all. So, and I do love them for the packaging, so they stay in my collection. I love them. But then my discovery of this year is going to have to be, for sure, the YSL balms and the Candy Gloss stick. This one is like more emollient, and then this one is just your classic balm. I love them. I wish I had the money to get all the shades of the Candy Glaze sticks in particular, but I do not. These go half off pretty frequently, so I have a couple shades and I absolutely adore these. Love these. And then next I said lip liner. So last year I said ColourPop Another Round. I don't use that anymore. I don't have it anymore. It honestly is just too messy. By comparison, I've discovered better formulas. So then last year I used a lot of the JACLYN lip liners, which is what kind of replaced ColourPop. I still do continue to use those. I have sharpened them a lot, so mine are quite short now, and I do really, really like them, especially because I got most of them for like 10 bucks, so like, hey, you know? And then a rediscovery that I've been using a lot. A rediscovery, because I had these and then I stopped using them and then I rediscovered them and I've been using them non-stop ever since about like September, is going to be these Buxom Plump Line lip liners. Now, very sadly, you can't get these anymore, and the replacement, in my humble opinion, sucks. These were where it's at, but I absolutely love these. I've been using these so much more often now that I've rediscovered them. I really, really like these, and once I finish them, I'm gonna be so sad. I will say, if you do have these, you cannot use a standard sharpener on these because they're so fat. I do have the special Buxom one that fits these, and that's gonna wrap up my 2022 what did I use the most. So as you can see, I have a pretty healthy mix of products that I continue to use, and new discoveries, and some products that kind of just dropped off my radar or maybe aren't even in my collection anymore. I always love seeing what I have used and what I don't use anymore, and even what I also continue to use. You can definitely tell I have some favorites I'm very loyal to. I hope this video was a little enlightening for you guys. Maybe you guys got some new product recommendations out of this, or maybe this isn't going to inspire you to look through your collection and maybe rediscover some old favorites or something like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little end of year video, and I hope you guys will stick around for the next videos to come. I did film this look using Unearthly Cosmetics Fall Magic. It will be up on my channel. If not already, it will be up very soon. Thank you guys so much for your understanding. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.